your job!
What up, y'all? Alicorn Lion, aka the Yuki Konata, coming at you with another episode of Alicorn Rants. Today, we're going to be talking about something a little bit serious, which is actually called, mental health in black men. So, honestly, we've seen like a lot of things for like the last month and a half where like Will Smith was breaking down mainly because of the whole affair between like August and Jada Pickett and whatnot. Then we also seen like Kanye West break down because he was originally supposed to be running for president. Then he ran. Then he dropped out the race. Then he said some dumbass shit about slavery again. And then you know, all about the whole Kim Kardashian like whole divorce thing and stuff like that. Just a lot of shit going down. And then you already know the internet is undefeated because all of a sudden now everybody's making fun of both of them. So now you starting to get like a lot of like woke like Twitter like users and Facebook users and all the other stuff talking about that. Oh yeah, the mental health of everybody like making fun of like Will Smith because of like this mental breakdown proves that we don't really take men's mental health seriously. Honestly, you kind of sort of have a point and you kind of sort of don't. Like honestly, I can understand where people are coming from when they talk about this. Where like, oh yeah, we already got our laughs in. Now let's actually talk about like mental health, in men and stuff like that, which is understandable. But at the same time, I kind of also feel like that men themselves do it. You know, the problem with men's mental health is we do it to ourselves. We don't necessarily come out and talk about, quote unquote feelings and stuff like that because, of what the public would say and everything else. And to be honest, that's completely understandable when you really think about it. And here's what I mean. Here's what I mean by this. There's a lot of reasons as to why this happens. Most of it is because of toxic masculinity and stuff like that, and self confidence getting shot down, and high expectations from other, type of people, and especially when it comes to the peers and everything else like that. It's like the man always got to be the provider, the man always got to be the dominant one, the man always got to be the stronger one, and everything else. The man can't necessarily have no type of emotions, and all of that. It all boils down to all of these expectations and the self-consciousness and everything else that revolves around it. It makes sense that we don't necessarily take mental health seriously because the expectations isn't there. The expectations isn't not giving a shit about men's mental health. The um the reality is we should, but the expectations is we shouldn't really care about it. No emotions, no boys don't cry, men don't cry, and all this other type of stuff. You know, um, it doesn't look good trying to get a female and stuff like that. It doesn't look good trying to get a significant other. And we have this thing where we have no outlet to go to, not even to other men ourselves, because we're not meant to be like that. You know, honestly, it's kind of tiring, to be honest. It kind of sucks, actually, when you really think about it. And I do feel like that men do, at the same time, kind of sort of do it, but it's kind of more like they don't do it directly. They do it more like, oh yeah, we're throwing like certain hints and stuff like that. It's like you throw hints about it, but you don't necessarily come out directly to it. And then you also got to remember that there's like a certain move for it as well. I'll give you a prime example. Like, let's say that I'm pissed. that I don't have any weed to smoke. I know this is not like the best example though, but this is something that comes out of my mind because it makes sense. But anyway, like let's say I don't really have any weed to smoke and I'm kind of pissed about it. I've been there a lot of times where like a lot of people who smoke weed don't have some and they get like mad and uppity about that shit. I'm not gonna go over there and cry like I'm fucking Caillou or some shit like that. No, I'm be all like, man, I don't have no weed or some old bullshit and stuff like that, man. Kind of like soak about it for a minute, can't really do nothing about it, but you let everybody know that you kind of complain about it. Nah, if you're not gonna be going like, I don't have any weed. You're not gonna be doing all that other type of stuff, like I said, acting like Caillou and stuff like that. You ain't got no weed to smoke. No, no, no. You actually going to let people know about it. I've also heard like the conversations about, oh yeah, no woman wants me. You're not going to go ahead and cry your eyes about it and stuff like that because that makes you look desperate, makes you look weak, and everything else like that. Nah, you just gonna casually say it. You gonna throw the hint about it that you kind of hurting because of it, but at the end of the day, you're not gonna be like, I don't have any women to go with, and all rain in tears and all that other type of stuff. You're not gonna do that. So it makes sense that we don't necessarily have like any outlet for it to actually happen. When you break down crying, who do you go to? You have nobody to necessarily go to when it comes to that. Another thing that I could also put out it, and it makes me sound a little sexist, but women are kind of sort of part of the reason too, when you really think about it. And I'm not saying this out of hatred or nothing like that though, but I'm gonna bring up a couple of points, and I think guarantee people are gonna agree with me on it. For a prime example, you got three particular things that I feel like is the exact reason why you don't necessarily trust any woman on it. The first one is definitely ammunition. You try to tell your girl something in confidence, which is understandable, and you try to like pour out, your emotions and stuff like that and all your insecurities. The moment you get into that argument, that's ammunition. That's ammunition to make you look bad, to make you look fucking weak, and to make you look defeated and everything else like that. It's ammunition for it, and it sucks because it's like everything that you try to tell your significant other in confidence is just going to be used as ammunition to make you hurt more, hitting below the belt and stuff like that. People don't necessarily want to go through it, so guess what? We're just going to bottle up the emotions and stuff like that. And to be fair, can you really blame them when you put all that into consideration? The second one is women like to push boundaries. You know, man, this makes me sound really sexist right now. But anyway, women like to push boundaries. For a prime example, women like to hit other men, when they mad and stuff like that. And you already know you have that thing where it says, men can't hit women and stuff like that, and men are not supposed to hit women like that because you do, it makes you look like a little bitch and stuff like that. So what are you supposed to do? You're in a lose-lose situation. You getting your ass kicked by a woman, all of a sudden you're a bitch just because you got your ass kicked by a woman, and you try to fight back. Oh, you a bitch just because you hit a woman, and all the other type of stuff. But like nobody's really there to really defend the other person, even if the woman is in the wrong. So when you put all that into consideration, yeah, the mental health thing is definitely there. Last but not least, and this definitely leads from number two, is accusations. Sometimes women get so pissed that they start making accusations and stuff like that to make your character
Oh
feel
shit.
very assassinated, and it make yourself feel very guilty about some stuff. For a prime example, maybe they can say, oh, he was an abuser. Maybe let's say you did hit your significant other back, and now all of a sudden she's going to everybody else crying that you were an abuser and stuff like that. Now guess what, you going to jail and stuff like that, and she's coming out with a satisfying victory and over all this bullshit, knowing for the fact that you can lose your job, lose your friends, lose your family over the exact same shit. And guess what? It doesn't even stop there. There's also the accusations of being a fucking pedophile, even though you're not. I mean, that shit happens. Your life is most definitely over at that particular point. Because even if you were found not guilty of it, people would never trust you the exact same way as they did before the accusation came up. So now you have all your family members betray you, you have all your friends betray you and stuff like that. You lost your job and stuff, you lost your job and everything in between. And now you're just in this thing where there's nothing else left to do other than just to kill myself. Like, what is there you can do? Nobody's not going to trust you. You either have to start a new life or just end it right then and there. And that sucks. That makes no sense. The same thing necessarily doesn't happen when it happens to a woman and whatnot. And again, I stress this out enough, not really being sexist. I'm just telling, I don't even, I'm just telling, my honest opinion on it. Honestly, if you have a disagreement, especially if you're a female, feel free to tell me in the comments and stuff like that, because I definitely want to see like what the defense is, or what the accusation is, because I already know not every female is like that and whatnot, and it kind of is a little bit unfair that I'm doing a generalization and whatnot, but that's besides the point. Overall, when it comes to men's mental health, it's not the fact that it doesn't exist, it's just the fact that nobody wants to acknowledge it. It's not the fact that it's not the fact that people want to come out with it. It's just the fear of the backlash and the fear of what happens next, and what happens if this goes wrong. Then what else am I supposed to do? Everybody's gonna look at me completely different than for what I'm at right now. Because you already know, at the end of the day, majority of the times, you're just putting up a front at the end of the day anyway. I mean, for a prime example, I mean, I can tell like right now, and this is actually kind of a little bit personal. I do have anxiety and I do have self conscious issues and stuff like that for two particular reasons. It's one, I'm an introvert, where everybody who's an introvert can understand exactly where I'm coming from, and everybody who's an extrovert should already know how an introvert, works and whatnot, so that's understandable. The second one is how the police treat black people in this country. Police treat black people like shit. You can completely do nothing and you will still have the possibility of being killed in or fucking tortured for no apparent reason, just because of the color of your skin. Who has time for that? Why the hell do every time I gotta go out the house, I have to be in fear that this is a possibility that can actually happen? Seeing so many videos of it happen, seeing so many like news reports and everything, of that matter happen at the same time. And all while, no matter how much you protest or anything else like that, nobody is going to like bat an eye. Anybody who's against it's not going to bat an eye. The government's not going to bat an eye. They're all just going to turn the other cheek. So again, where else do I have to go when it comes to situations like this? Where else do I have to go if I have to vent about it or anything else like this? Where do I go if it happened to me, and what will happen next? As much as I don't want it to happen, as much as I'm praying that it never happens to me, I know for a fact that there's policemen in this country who just does not give a flying fuck. And that gives me very high anxiety. So, at the end of the day, what else can I do? Can't necessarily really do that, because at the end of the day, nobody's just going to give a fuck about the mental health state of myself being anyway. Because at the end of the day, I'm a black male that has to be a provider and everything else like that. Everybody who's in the black community has high expectations of me. People, outside of the black race, necessarily has even either very high, more higher expectations than people like within my race, or no expectations at all. And at the end of the day, I still have to prove something. So at the end of the day, where else can I go to? There's always a religious answer for it and a non-religious answer for it, though. But I'm not necessarily going to get into that because I know for a fact that not everybody's religious, and at the end of the day, people have different opinions. And to be honest, I respect that. It kind of sucks that I really don't have nobody religious wise to go to when it comes to something like that. But at the end of the day, what else can I do? I can't force nobody into religion and stuff like that because I'm not that type of person. And I don't know. So honestly, at the end of the day, men's mental health, especially black men's mental health, it exists. It's there. We kind of sort of acknowledge it, and we kind of sort of, but we're not really going to do anything about it at the end of the day. So what else can we do? For now, my name is Yuki Konita, aka Alicorn Lion, signing out.